Hey guys, Bedhead Scott here, and let's go over the 5.2 developer update, which is the Pinhead patch, and that should be arriving on Tuesday. And let's go over what's going to be in it. So first part, it's about SBMM, skill-based matchmaking. First part we already know. Okay, so the most recent skill-based matchmaking test resulted in fairer matches across the board for players of all skill levels, especially low to mid-skilled players. High skill players would see the most variance in their matches due to the low number of players with high ratings, though their matches would still be more consistent compared to rank-based matchmaking. See, to me, this statement means absolutely nothing because we have no idea what the metrics are that determine what is a fair match. Is it 2 kills to escape? Like, this sentence doesn't mean anything. We have no information on how it works, so them saying the matches were more fair means absolutely nothing, statistically speaking, because we have no idea what even a fair match is according to them. So this is why I wish they would be more open with their the criteria that they use for winning or losing a match. Again, they don't have to be specific. They don't have to give exactly what is going to raise your MMR, what's going to lose it, because then, yeah, people will try to abuse the system. Just give us a rough indication of things that are being taken into account, and people would be so much more comfortable with this system. It's just so hard to just blindly trust behavior to assess skill when they don't know how to play the game themselves for the most part. So it's a really scary, blind thing to just trust that they know what a fair match is, which to me makes that whole sentence just completely useless. During peak hours, 99% of matches formed were considerably are what we consider reasonably balanced, with your odds of escaping or killing a survivor varying between 25% of the average. So, see, that concerns me. With your odds of escaping a killer or killing a survivor, 25% of the average. See, to me, that tells me that it's largely based on escaping or killing people, which, as anyone that plays this game for a decent amount of time can tell you, is not a metric of how good or bad you are at the game at all. The Claudette that hides all match and gets the hatch, is that now a win for her? Did she escape? Is she a better player than the guy that ran the killer for 5 minutes straight? Like, this is the problem with this whole automation of skill detection. If it's just based on those kills and, survival rates and things like that, it just throws every other variable out the window. Like, like a nurse with, 4 slowdowns and double range getting 4 kills is not better than a nurse with 0 perks, 0 add-ons getting 3 kills. Like, it cannot possibly automatically assess the actual skill of the match because of the RNG, the perk impact. Like, there's just so much shit to take. It's impossible. At least in this type of game, And the whole, like, this line where they just say escaping or killing a survivor wasn't, like, when they're referencing that as a stat, that concerns me because it makes me think that the kill rate and the survival rate is being weighted too heavily. And as we know with the stats they've already pulled, that those rates are basically meaningless. Sometimes a team will stomp a killer so bad they will intentionally run around in a match after the timer has started just to fuck with the killer, and 1 or 2 of them might die because of it. And now suddenly that's a fair tied match. Like, you can't automatically do this. You can, it's just too much work. It's just they're never going to do that. So that's my main concern at the current moment. Additionally, while matches were fairer, matchmaking times remain the same. I'm trying to think if my matchmaking times felt any different. The very first test, they felt way longer. When I played Demogorgon and, like, Oni and Blight, it was a bit longer, but it didn't feel that bad. So I think I can agree with that, at least. I'm not sure what your guys' experiences were, but my queue times weren't too terrible. SBM will allow us to collect more detailed statistics for our design team to work with, e.g. seeing how a perk or power performs among the top 5% of players. This data will allow us to make more meaningful tweaks and balance decisions in the future. See, normally I would treat that as a pretty good sentence, but I don't believe them because they have said that they don't want to balance for that skill group repeatedly. So while the sentiment there is actually great, I just don't believe them. And I apologize if I'm being cynical there, but why would I believe them when they've said the opposite? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But it's not a bad sentence, but I don't know. I just don't believe them. Rank changes and rewards. Ranks will now become, okay, they're calling them grades now. Feature new icons. Yeah, we've seen that in the PTB. You can increase your grade by earning pips just like before. There's a limit to how many pips you can lose. So this is just going to be basically the how much you played per month system, which is basically what current pips are with a little bit more, how well you did. But at the end of the day, if you play enough, you'll get to rank 1. So That's basically what they're just turning that into. 250k blood point reward depending on how far you manage to climb. So I guess the highest one, the iridescent one or whatever, will be 250k blood points. I feel like that's a little light. That's what, 4.5 games of barbecue and chili? It's really not that much for a month's worth of work. I feel like they could do more than that, but whatever. Okay, this is what I'm interested in. Cenobite. Thrilled to see so much excitement for the Cenobite in the player test build. We've been watching and reading for feedback. That being said, we made some changes between... Okay, good. This is by no means final. All right, first, we polished the way chains spawn to make them perform more consistently. We fixed an issue which could cause chains to spawn behind obstacles and corners immediately break as soon as... Okay, that's really good. So the problem they're talking about here, sometimes you would use your power, you would hit them, and it would spawn a chain in a wall, and it would immediately break. So you hitting them basically did nothing. So it sounds like they're making it so that at least doesn't happen as much. Additionally, if a chain fails to spawn, like there's no suitable place for it to spawn, the system will now attempt to spawn another chain much sooner. That's good, because a lot of the time it felt useless trying to hit, behind walls because the chain would immediately break, causing you to just lose time. There was no reason to ever do it. Finally, if a chain is broken by the environment or the Cenobite himself, a new chain will spawn considerably faster than before. That's good. These changes will make chains more effective in tight areas with lots of obstacles. Do you guys think that's enough? Because, we tested this. If a survivor is running away from you, and you hit them with the chains, the time it takes to shoot out the portal, shoot out the chain, hit them with it, and switch back to you, it's about the same amount of time it takes them to escape from all three chains. Which means you can't really use it to gain distance on a survivor. It's a just neutral gain loss kind of thing. So the whole holding W strat is still incredibly strong against them because he can't stop you from holding W. It's not like Blight where he can catch up, or Nurse where he can catch up, or Spirit where he can catch up, or Billy where he can catch up. If he shoots you with his power, even Clown is better at it because Clown doesn't have to switch between two different modes and get slowed down a bit. He just throws the bottle and the survivor gets slowed. So I don't really know that this is going to be enough to make the power effective. It breaking behind walls was arguably a bigger concern because typically you're going to want to use this power at loops, right? The problem with it on the PTB was you couldn't even use it at loops because it would break through walls and it was pointless. So this is something we're going to have to test with. It seems like it might be enough to where it's a net gain to use this power, and that would really be the only thing that we need. So I'm going to hold off on judging this bad or not enough yet until we actually play it, because the changes that they made with the whole breaking through walls and stuff like that may be enough to rectify the whole issue there. So we'll see how that works. That could be okay. We've also simplified the way chain hunt works. In the PTB, the number of chains that spawn during the hunt would depend on the number of survivors remaining. I didn't know that. Instead, the hunt will now always spawn a cluster of 3 chains, with each chain appearing 3 seconds apart, with an increasing interval between clusters based on the remaining survivors. Okay, I think that's a pretty good change. Finally, deciding when to solve the lament configuration is something you want to leave up to you. Yeah, this is a problem. People just holding the box. But keeping it forever shouldn't be ideal. Agreed. In the PTB, survivor carrying the box would have a chain spawn and attempt to latch onto them every few seconds while they were interacting with something. This would slow your progress down, but it could be a worthwhile trade-off for preventing chain hunts entirely. Agreed. We're changing the lament configuration to only pause the timers of the other survivors, but not the carrier. This means that the person holding the box neglects it for too long, a chain hunt will start for them only. The chain hunt is in addition to the occasional chains that spawn while interacting with something, making it very difficult to ignore. Okay, so basically they're just doubling down on the penalty for holding the box for an extended amount of time. So, I'm trying to think here if that is going to be enough. This is going to be very contingent on how strong the main chains that he uses actually become with the changes that they made. If there's not much of an improvement, because the main thing that made him scary was the chain hunt thing. Not Chains of Hate, by the way. That is Deathslinger. So that's the main thing that made him better than Clown. When Chain Hunt was active, you couldn't deal with that and the 3 other chains hitting you. That was too much slowdown. Then you would get hit at loops and stuff like that. Even though you can dodge them, it's still a lot of shit coming at you repeatedly, and it made him actually pretty strong in a chase. But it was a thing that didn't happen very often. You needed to either pick up the box yourself, which you never find unless you have the add-on that gives you the aura for it. It was actually hard to get a chain hunt even started, but when it was up, it was great. It was pretty powerful. So it seems like this won't do that for other survivors. Basically, this is just gonna double down on fucking over the one guy that picks up the box, which I don't know. I don't know if that's the right change to make, because that guy was already essentially taking one for the team to deny him of his scariest power. And it's kind of like a plague scenario where you can hold that hostage and save the rest of your team at detriment to yourself, but plagues is spread to everybody. So this is like a bit weaker version of that. I still think time efficiency wise, it would be more efficient for a person to just be the dead weight, hold his power the entire match. Because if there's no chain hunt, he's essentially just a clown, right? And clown is not that scary to go against. So again, it's hard for me to make a judgment call here. We're going to see how the actual tweaks to his base power work before we comment any further on that. It could be enough to where if they hold it hostage, well, he still has a strong enough regular power to where a 3v1 with a regular kind of okay power will be enough to win. So it's too soon for me to give any huge judgments on that, and I think we should just wait for it to come out, play for a little while before we make any more calls on that. So yeah, I kind of wish this would affect everybody, so it affecting only one guy even more. We'll see. A few more changes. Tweak gateway placing to be easier on maps and multiple floors. That's good. This will prevent cases where you look so slightly down and end up placing it floor below. That's good. Added a brief immunity period to chains after being unhooked. This will prevent a survivor who was just unhooked from being chained before they can move. I think that's fine. Added a maximum control time for gateways. Cenobite's power is meant to be used fast-paced and be used in a chase, not to be placed somewhere in wait. I agree. I don't even know why that... Why do they even have to limit that? Like, I guess that's a good way to teach you how to play the killer. Like, yeah, you should not have been doing that. You don't put out an Eye of Kilrog and just sit there and look around for a while. It's not meant to do that. It's like you play like Nurse almost. Added a brief cooldown to the solve interaction to prevent spamming. Oh, darn. It was pretty funny making 8 trillion notifications a second. But well-deserved change. Increased blood points for the Cenobite scoring event across the board. Okay, good. As always, we'll continue to monitor Cenobite's performance the next few months to see it. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's good. This is the kind of thing we just need to see how it's going to be on live. The changes to his base power could be enough, and he could be decent. So I'll just reserve my judgment until we play him for a bit longer on the actual live game. Before we sign off, we wanted to make a moment to reassure you that the team is still actively working on various performance issues affecting some platforms. Each bug needs to be investigated and fixed separately, of course, but we're aiming to have fixes for some of the remaining issues over the next few updates. The first of these fixes will appear in the 5.2 update, but we will address hitches when using Dead Hard. Which will address hitches using Dead Hard, powering generator, healing a survivor. Okay, so allegedly they are fixing the Dead Hard bug. They said they have fixed it before and it never got fixed, so again, I hate that I'm at the point where I need to see it to believe it, but it's, it's behavior. What do you expect? That's not even cynical. That's just literally like history. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully that is fixed because console Dead Hards, while hilarious to see, are very sad and frustrating. So rest assured we have not forgotten or moved on. Smooth performance is still a priority for us. It's just PR speak at that point. Overall, though, I think this is pretty decent. I still don't understand this at all. I don't know. Still don't know who wants this, but look, my experiences with it were not horrendous or anything like that. If my queue times are fine and my matches are fine, I guess I don't really care. It just seems like they did 2 years of work for essentially nothing different from what we currently have. But I don't know. We'll see. Could be better. This is fine. And then, yeah, I think this could be okay. They didn't talk about the 16,000 bugs that will happen, but that's something we get to experience on our own, and that's the fun part. But overall, yeah, I mean, this seems pretty decent. They're making a lot of good changes. I don't have any huge problems. Yeah, I guess we'll see how Pyramid Head is actually... Fucking, I did it again, Pinhead. So many heads Pinhead is on the live servers, and then we'll make further judgments based on the changes they made here to there, and we'll go from there. But that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.